Alright, I'm coming. Shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ, do you have any idea what... Hello? Oh. Is this for me? What is this? Huh. Awesome. Wonder what I got. Sounds kind of like a DVD or something. I don't know, man. Let's check it out. Oh boy. Huh. Well, I guess I gotta review it now. Ah yes, Metro Last Light, direct sequel to Metro 2033. I played Metro when it released 3 years ago. I generally liked it, but for whatever reason didn't play it for more than a couple of hours. Because it's been so long, I decided to fire up the old Steamboat and play it again just to get a grasp of the game's context before I play Last Light. Metro 2033 takes place in a post-apocalyptic Russia. All remaining humans were forced to seek refuge in the underground metro tunnels after a nuclear attack in 2013. The present day, just as the title suggests, is 2033, when military-grade bullets are used as currency, and violence is no stranger to the people of Moscow. You play as Artyom, one of the first men to be born underground 20 years ago. Superhuman mutants known as the Dark Ones are supposedly threatening the destruction of your home metro station, and in order to save your friends and family, you must depart and seek help from other stations. In addition to facing mutants as you travel, you'll come across two dangerous human factions, the Nazis and the Communists. Gameplay can best be described as Crisis meets Resident Evil. What did I think of it? Mostly positive things. Its strongest aspect was definitely the atmosphere. It was chilling, dark, fear-inducing, and invoked a mood that is uncommon in games today. While Metro is a first-person shooter, it does successfully pull off some decent horror segments. Plus, Metro has quite a few survival aspects at the core of its gameplay mechanics, all of which are executed surprisingly well. Not only that, but the combination of intuitive controls, appealing visuals, and original concept behind it made for a pretty awesome experience. Of course, there are several issues with it, most of which can't be ignored, but I still completely understand the cult following behind it. For a brand new franchise based on a Russian novel, Metro 2033 was an epic first of its kind. The question that remains is this: has Last Light raised the bar? Well, I'm a little uneasy, I must admit. You remember the last game I reviewed that was published by Deep Silver, had a cult following, and was a direct sequel with a subtitle instead of a number? Yeah, this piece of garbage. It probably doesn't mean anything, but that air of deja vu haunts me nonetheless. Well, I guess it's time to dive into Metro Last Light. Let's give it a whirl. First and foremost, if you played Metro 2033, Last Light will be familiar territory. Pretty much every mechanic from the last game has been preserved. You still need to find gas mask filters, you can still use medkits to replenish health, and you still have to rely on your rechargeable flashlight and/or night vision goggles to see in the dark. All of these features have been polished, making them seem less tedious than in the previous game. In addition, the UI and control scheme has been refined, although I don't particularly like the dual-wield approach. One of my favorite aspects of the last game was the minimalist UI, and seeing two big orange circles all the time is kind of a turnoff. Speaking of sequel differences that turn me off, I gotta get something off my chest. Some aspects of the Last Light plot are just poorly crafted and bizarre, which is a returning struggle from 2033, I'm afraid. This is going to require some explanation and a little bit of spoilers from the first game, so here we go. In the first game, the whole reason you're traveling the tunnels is so you can find a way to stop the evil Dark Ones from attacking your home station. And while you're playing the game, you completely forget this fact. You get so lost in fighting Nazis and communists and mutants that you barely know anything about or connect at all with this mysterious race of creatures. Then the game developers expect you to have some kind of emotional connection to your actions at the end of the game when you're supposed to destroy them. And yes, I'm well aware of the second ending where you decide not to kill them, but that's just as unconvincing. Last Light picks up after you've killed them all, effectively ignoring the second ending, and through the course of the game you are made to feel sorry about what you did. Why? Not only were the Dark Ones an extremely lacking plot point in the first game, but they also attempted to murder you at the end. Honestly, did anyone manage to get emotionally invested in these things? Because I sure didn't. It's also hard to get invested in other characters because A, there are so many of them, and B, the voice acting is, just like the previous game, a mixed bag. Some of them are done well, some aren't. And overall, I feel like 90% of these characters could have been voiced by one guy. Furthermore, we're made to feel one thing and one thing only through the course of this game. Humanity is evil. Yes, all of you are murderous wretches that want nothing more than to kill each other. For humanity is the creator of the bomb, the poisonous gases, wars, bloodshed. Yeah, that's pretty much the tone of the whole game. And hey, I'm no fan of humanity at this point, but any game that pummels me over and 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 over again by the same ideological plot device really gets on my fucking nerves. Alright, I've spent far too long talking about the plot. Before you start thinking I hate Last Light, I don't. There are quite a few things I loved about it. For one, it took the already strong shooting mechanics of Metro 2033 and polished them. I mean, this game plays like a top-tier shooter. Most guns are pretty memorable, and I had a decent amount of fun shooting down the various baddies Last Light threw at me. When you're in metro stations and other safe zones, you can customize your weapons for improved performance, or exchange ammo supply for currency. You could do this in the first game, but now the UI for these features is much more approachable for the average user. However, because the shooting mechanics are so stellar, it seems like the developers felt the need to just overload this game on shooting stages, especially near the end of the game. 2033 had a healthy dose of sneaking around and figuring out how best to advance. It heavily incentivized being resourceful and slipping past enemies without the need for violence. In Last Light, you're pretty much encouraged to engage everyone you see, with the exception of a couple chapters. Now let me be clear, for some people this is perfectly fine, but if you were someone who loved Metro 2033, this is probably going to make you feel a little alienated. But one major positive of Last Light is the horror segments. Oh yes, they have returned. The devs definitely did not disappoint the horror fans, aka myself, and Metro's target audience. In fact, I personally think this game has some of the finest horror segments in recent history when it comes to first-person shooters. The sound design and visuals really put you in the experience, and your somewhat claustrophobic field of view is nearly perfect for the occasion. Much like 2033, horror sections are somewhat few and far between, but when they come around, they really deliver. Speaking of sound and visuals, not only do they improve the horror theme, but also the game at large. Since we're right on the edge of a new generation of video games, this game in particular really shows off the peak of our current generation. And in fact, the PC version of Last Light is easily ahead of the current generation. It's even being used for NVIDIA promotionals. The dynamic lighting, particle effects, and physics are all rather impressive. Of course, none of this is shocking, considering Metro 2033 was also a beautiful game. With that said, it should be clear to you that I enjoy and respect the groundwork of Last Light. However, I'm not sure if I prefer it over the first game. Metro 2033 made the player feel smart. It was a more difficult game, but also a more rewarding one. The payoff from managing to sneak past your first difficult stage is exhilarating, whereas the feeling was painfully absent from Last Light. Not to mention the last few chapters of Last Light just kinda fizzled out. The game starts to rely way too much on run and gun shooting, and the main plot becomes rather abstract, in an annoying way. Let's just say the supernatural powers the Dark Ones have were never fully fleshed out. And Last Light really takes the liberty of piling on the outlandish bullshit with this concept. Science fiction, more like paranormal fiction. Actually, adding fiction to the end of that is kind of redundant. In the end, what can I say? Despite my nitpicking and little annoyances here and there, Metro Last Light is a pretty engaging experience, with 12 plus hours of shooting, sneaking, exploring, and cringing in fear. It captures the essence of the last game with a little more polish and a little less depth. Scoring this game was pretty hard, but I'm fairly comfortable with an 8 out of 10. This game is exceptional to say the least. If you enjoyed the last Metro, you might be a little disappointed, but Last Light still has plenty to offer.
God, are you out of your mind?